Hello, I'm Lily and I make videos from my sewing space in my camper van. In today's video we're going to be talking all about quilting, my quilting journey so far. I've been quilting for under a year and I've broken lots of rules, so I thought I'd have a chat about what rules I've broken, what's worked, what hasn't, and what rules I definitely wouldn't break. This is just my experience, and there are a lot of rules. When I first started learning how to quilt, I could not believe how many rules there actually were, so that really surprised me. And some of them I followed, some of them I haven't, and it's absolutely fine to follow all the rules and learn how to do it properly. But I just want to share this for anybody who is a beginner or who's thought about making a quilt and they're a bit put off and think that if they don't follow all the rules exactly that their quilt's not going to be very good. So I just thought I would share a little bit about my journey so far. I'll show you some of the quilts I've made already. Some of them are sometimes in the background of my van and people have asked about them, so I will share them and you can have a proper look at those as well. If you want to hear about my quilting journey, stick with me. Let's go with my first rule that I've broken. It is take your time and don't rush. Okay, so I'm not very good at not rushing. I rush everything. I'm talking really fast, I'm in a rush, I'm always in a rush. That's just how I am. I can't really slow down. And also I do kind of want to get to the end, although it's all about enjoying the process when you're sewing, and I do enjoy a lot of the processes and the parts of quilting and making a big quilt. I'm still keen to get it finished. What I like about quilting is the squidginess of it. So when I'm making it and I'm quilting it, I like that squidgy feel, so that's quite nice, and that helps me to enjoy the process. And I also enjoy the colours, just putting the colours together and looking at the colours. But yeah, I'm not very good at being slow, to be honest. I'm kind of speeding along to get to the end and then the joy of the finished item, and then I can get all excited about the next one. But that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy making it. What it does mean is sometimes in places they can be a bit messy, my stitches can be a bit messy, but do you know what? That's okay. I'm making it for myself, I'm enjoying making it, it still looks great at the end. That's okay. So don't worry if your stitches are a bit messy and you're in a rush to get to the end. That's fine. Also, if you want to take your time, that's okay as well. These are just rules for me. They're not really, and just talking about it, so I'm not telling you what to do or anything. So please don't think I'm telling you what to do. Planning my project or following a pattern. And I know a lot of advice given for beginners is to follow a pattern, and I suppose I am an experienced sewer, so I have made lots of other things, but I'm not very good at following patterns at all. I will tend to look at pictures of quilts and then try and make it myself, and usually that has worked out. Occasionally I've started, when I made the 2 bags in a previous video, I started to make a quilt and then it didn't really work, so then I just ended up making bags instead. So I suppose that would be a fail. Well, I haven't followed a pattern, but generally for my other quilts that has been fine. I will show you some quilts. I'll show you this one now, actually. This one is probably the nearest one I've made to following a pattern, because it was a potato chip. I call it my chip shop quilt. I made 4 blocks using the potato chip block. Got one there, and then the 2 at the bottom. And lots of people have asked me about this quilt, so the fabric I've used is Tilda, and a local shop was selling squares of a Tilda for about 20p each, so I bought a bunch of them, not really knowing what I was going to make with them, and that's where I made the quilt. And I bought some fat quarters as well that were sort of coordinating ish, and then I put my little English paper piecing flower in the middle, and this, I'll show you the back as well actually. So I just used some of the leftover fat quarter pieces for the back as well. So I didn't plan this, as in I just knew I was going to make potato chip blocks, but I didn't plan how the quilt was going to look at the end, or even what fabric I was going to use. Like this isn't Tilda here. I just laid it out and kind of went with it and saw what looked nice, and that is how I like to work. So for some people, they wouldn't feel comfortable doing that and they would want to follow a pattern, which is absolutely fine, or a video tutorial, but that's just not me. So yeah, that one's probably the closest to following a pattern that I have ever made so far. But as I said at the beginning, I've only been quilting for less than a year, so what I'm doing is picking up tips and sort of getting better and better at it as I go along. I suppose I just wanted to make quilts and I didn't want to learn everything at the beginning. I wanted to keep making, and you do get better and better with practice, don't you? Some of the patterns also look quite complicated, don't they? So some of them I'll look at them and I just think, or I'll watch a video tutorial and I'll start off and I'll think, oh yeah, that's okay, and then it will just get more and more and more and more complicated. And there's a squirrel up there in the tree. It will get more and more complicated, and in the end I'm like, oh no, that's too complicated. I don't think I want to do that, but I probably could manage it, but it puts me off. I feel a bit overwhelmed with it, I suppose. So maybe in the future it's something I will do. It's behind us here. This was English paper piecing, but that's probably the pointiest, most complicated thing I've made with all the points. But it was English paper piecing, so it was easy to put together. So I do like that. Whether I'd have made hundreds of those to make a quilt, I don't know. But that's probably the pointiest kind of pattern I followed. I have got a block of the month, which I'm working on, which is English paper piecing. But that's not too complicated. It's just the same block all the time. So I'm slowly making my way through that. And I haven't worked on it for a while, so I need to get back into that soon, really, because I will get super behind with it. But once I've got all the boxes, it's okay to just keep working on it. I haven't given myself a date when I'm going to finish it, to be honest, and it's just always there if I want to pick it up. But I've had lots of other projects on the go and I've been buying lots of other fabric as well. I'm a big fan of upcycling and recycling, so they are going to be having different weights of fabric, and I think that's okay, and I have done that, and the actual quilt looks okay. I think the issues in the future with this may be over time it might not wear very well, as in certain fabrics might stretch a little bit if there's a heavy one next to it. However, if you've quilted it all together and everything and you're careful with it, depends what you're going to be using it for. If you're going to be throwing it around then and sticking it in the wash every 5 minutes, maybe it wouldn't it would go a bit funny or a bit twisted or a bit out of shape or something. But I think generally if you are just going to use it as a lap quilt or just to lay on the back of the sofa or that kind of thing, then I think it would be okay. The only time I would be a bit cautious is washing it. I don't think I would wash it. But I think generally if you're just making a quilt with a mismatch of fabrics, a few different weights here and there, I think that would be fine. The only fabric I definitely wouldn't use is stretchy fabric, because that obviously wouldn't work at all. But generally I think that would be okay, and I've made cushions with a mismatch of fabrics and they've lasted, they're okay. I know a cushion is a bit different to a quilt, but they did turn out nicely and stitched together nicely. I've used a lot of denim and things and they've all been okay. I've made mixed up denim bags and that kind of thing. So I think generally, not just in quilting but in any project, mix and matching is okay with fabrics. Just don't use the stretchy, because that would be a bit twisted and go a bit wrong. Binding. Now this isn't a rule as such, it's all about binding, because I'm not keen on binding, and lots of people don't enjoy binding, but sometimes I think I don't even want to do binding at all, I want to put something different on. So in this one here behind me, I've got some sea glass here. I'm going to be, can you see that? I'm going to be adding some sea glass to a future project, so I've got it there as a little bit of inspiration. I find it on the beach and I can drill into it and sew it on a bit like a button, so I'm going to do that in a future project, maybe a cushion or a quilt, I don't know, but I've got some fabric which is fantastic for that, so that'll be in the future. Let's pop those up there. So this one is just a quilt I made with some Tilda fabric, and I didn't really want the look of binding around the outside, so I just put some lace on, just hand stitched it on both ways. Did a little same corner as you would really with if you were using binding on a quilt, and it looks a bit different, bit of a different effect. Looks nice on the back as well. So just a different idea if you don't want to do binding, because as a beginner there's a lot of different steps to quilts, aren't there, and it's fine to learn it all and do it all properly, but it's also okay to be a bit different and just go with how you want it to turn out. I'm really happy with that. I think it turns out beautifully. That was a rule I broke that turned out okay. Measure twice, cut once is another rule of quilting which I don't think I've really followed very well, as in sometimes I don't measure at all, as in I might cut one and then I'll cut lots the other size, but I don't tend to measure what they are. They'll just be the same. So, and I don't work out what the finished size of the quilt's going to be. I'm not a big measuring person. I can get straight lines and everything. That's fine. I've got my boards to cut and everything. But measuring and measurements, not really. So Lily, I think I need to try harder on that one. I need to get into measuring a bit better, and that's something I can improve on, I think. This one, the binding was a disaster. So I like combining embroidery and EPP, so that's something I want to do more of, but so many projects on the go. And for this, I did really want to use this stripy as the binding, but it was really skinny and it was all I had of it. It was just a scrap, it was skinny, and the binding on this is not very neat. I mean, I've kind of done it, but it was too skinny really. The back's probably better than the front, that's just plain. I will show you the quilt. It's only a little mini quilt. When I was making this, when I started making it, I was really into pink. Probably last year I loved pink. Everything was pink, and I've completely gone off pink and changed the kind of colour palette that I use now. So as I was getting into finishing this, I wasn't so keen on it. So I like the little flowers and everything, and it's my little, I call it my little pressed flower quilt, because it looks like pressed flowers in there. So I haven't actually quilted that. It's just a little, oh, I did a little bit actually. I've just gone round the edge of the English paper piecing. So just another idea there really of English paper piecing and embroidery can be mixed to make a quilt, or a quilt panel, or wall hanging, or whatever you want to make really. I just kind of freestyled with that. Right, I'm going to show you this one on here, but I've got all my things on it, so I've got to take everything off. This was one of the first quilts I made, and it took me absolutely ages to make because of the embroideries. And I had this idea, I wanted to make the 4 seasons in embroidery, which the colours kind of are, aren't they? And I made them on linen. So this is where I've kind of mixed fabrics together. I've got linen there, and they're all different weights. So the actual cotton is sort of a similar weight, but the linen is different. But that has turned out okay. And on this one, I did just bind it using the colour on the back, the backing fabric. I've just wrapped that round. And what are my points like? Ooh, they're quite good. Well, you might look at them and think, no, they're not Lily, but I think they're not bad. This one was a bit, if you've watched me for a long time, you'll probably remember this one, because I've got lots of advice in the comments, because I'd got this batting that I'd bought in the lockdowns, and I'd got it I'd ordered it from Dunelm or somewhere, and I couldn't, it was the wrong way. When I got it, it was really fat like that. I'd bought it for bag making. I never used it because it was really thick, and I thought that's what quilt batting looked like, because I didn't know. But it wasn't, and I stitched it on the machine, and it was just a mess. It was like a duvet, because it was just too thick. And I was stitching, and for some reason I thought if I carry on stitching it would get better. It just got worse and worse, and I shoved it not in the bin, in a fabric bin type thing where I keep my fabric, out of the way for a few months, and I got it out again, and I did unpick it all, and I redid it by hand sewing it, and it actually turned out really nice. I'm so pleased. I got a lot of encouragement from my viewers on that one, so thank you. If you remember this and you were one of the people that said unpick it, then that is what I did, and it turned out really lovely in the end. So it was kind of planned, as in I had got the 4 embroideries, but then I just laid them out with some bits of fabric, and again I just squared them off and then just added some fabric. I wasn't really measuring, I was just making them the same size as each other. Is that classed as measuring? I don't know. I didn't measure them as in this is 10 centimetres, this is 20 centimetres or anything like that. But they are fairly straight. There's one wonky bit, which I don't mind, but one of these little bits here I think is a little bit wonky. I think it might be that one. But generally that's a really nice quilt. But I'm going to talk about batting, because in this I used my bag making wadding. I was not an expert on wadding before I started quilting, so that's something, that is one of the rules I won't break now. So this has just got wadding, which is a cheap polyester. I say cheap, it's not cheap and horrible, it's fine for bag making, for like project bags or that kind of thing, but it's not very good. I don't like it in quilts particularly. So this has got this in, and it's okay, but it doesn't have that cozy, lovely quilty feel. I will always use wadding or batting that's made for quilting and get the most expensive one that I can afford. So that's something, is a bit about, it can be expensive, can't it? But I think one of the things that I would get that the best I can afford is definitely the wadding and the batting, for sure, because that's made feeling the difference between a quilt I've made with proper batting and the kind of cheaper bag batting is a massive difference. So it doesn't matter if you haven't got any, it still looks nice and it still feels okay, but I think the other ones with the proper batting feels nicer. Been using this coaster as a pin cushion, so I think I need to make a dedicated pin cushion for my van space. Would you like to see the quilt I'm working on this week? I'm going to show you anyway. I've used a 5-inch charm pack called Lydia's Lace by Moda Fabrics, which I bought a while ago, and I was just sorting through some of my fabrics, and I saw it and I thought, I'm going to make a quilt with that. I'm going to sew all the squares together and make a quilt, and I just started doing it. And so I'll show you how far I've got so far. And I'm now at the stage where I am quilting the back. So I've made my quilt sandwich, got this lovely, nice soft batting, so this feels gorgeous. And I do think when you've got a nice quality fabric, it does feel, this has been lovely to work with, it does feel really nice. So as I said, I do like fabric that feels nice and nice quality fabric, whether that be upcycled or whether that be new. It doesn't have to be brand new fabric. You can get quality fabric from clothes or from anything. So let's say you don't have to spend a lot of money necessarily. I think these the fabric packs are about £15-16, which actually I don't think is too bad, because you've got all the colours already there, haven't you? So, and I bought another one here as well, because I want to make another one. So I've got sandalwood, and I've got the mini, because I like using the mini. I'm going to try and use some of these for English paper piecing as well. So I've got those fabrics there. So I've got a few projects lined up, in progress. Not in progress, in progress in my mind. They're not actually in progress, but they will be in future videos. So I have just used a sheet for the back, I'll be honest. Didn't have a big wad of fabric, and I was too impatient to wait for any to come, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to use a sheet. And I think sheets feel quite nice on the back, don't they? So some people would say, no, don't use a sheet, use some proper fabric, but I've used a sheet and it will be fine. And I am going, when I've finished the hand quilting and the binding, I am going to attempt to wash this one, but I'm just going to literally wash it in cold water and see what happens. It should shrink a tiny bit, but not much, and get some colour catchers in there and just see. I won't be putting it in the washing machine. I'll be probably washing it in the bath. Not with me, I won't be in the bath as well, but I'll just put the fabric in the bath, the quilt in the bath. So this has been lovely, and I did use the method. It's called string piecing, and I've seen a few people do that method, so I thought I'd try it, but I completely remembered because I didn't plan it as usual. So I stitched my fabrics rather than, let's use, so rather than putting the fabrics one on top of each other like this and stitching along there, I did it like that and stitched along that way. so they had a gap, but there was nothing joining. Anyway, I did it wrong. So then I was just, it's like bunting, flapping around. I was like, I made it so complicated and it didn't have to be. So, and then I was watching a video again and I was like, that's how you do it, Lily. But I wanted to try my own way. So it did work, but they were twizzled all over the place and it was really hard. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, that is an easier way to put speedier way to put squares or quilt blocks together. So what I might do is, because I've got these ones and I'm going to make another one, I might film myself making that one and not breaking too many rules. I'll try not to break too many rules, but I'll probably break some rules. So yeah, I'll film myself making that and then you can see the progress on it and how I make it, because it's a really easy, simple way to make a quilt if you've never made a quilt before. Some people don't feel comfortable or don't enjoy matching all the colours, or I think they can't put all the colours together. So if you've got one of those packs, I'm not sponsored. Moda, please sponsor me and send me loads of these, but I'm not sponsored by Moda or not sponsored by anybody. But they are really good, and you can get different brands as well. It's not just Moda that make these packs, and you get different sizes. They are a good way to just make it if you've got everything and you've got all the colours. They all blend together. You've just got to lay them out, and even sometimes it takes a while to lay them all out and make sure that the pieces all look comfortable. I say comfortable together, and they'll go nicely together. But they all do sort of blend really well. So yeah, I think I'm going to make another one, and also got these, and I've got sea glass, which I'm going to put on a quilt at some point, which is here, which I might have shown you before. Sea glass is going to go on a quilt. Yeah, all sorts of ideas. I've got some more English paper piecing. I just need more time. But this week I'm definitely going to be finishing this the weekend, and then I'll show it to you next time finished. Are there any more rules that I won't break? I think there was another one that I put, that I wrote a list. The other rule, I'm clutching quilts. I've got my quilts around me. So another rule is about colour. I love working with colour. It's one of my favourite parts of quilting, and a lot of the quilt patterns are like this, aren't they, where you've got the paler fabric or the plain fabric to offset the coloured fabrics, and I've not done that here at all. It's all different colours. They're all mismatched together, and I really like that effect. Some people won't, because people like different things, and that's fine. We're all different, aren't we? So if you just want to put a mismatch of colours together, that's fine. I like to work with colours that I enjoy the look of. So when I say it's a rule I won't break, I want to work with fabric and colour that I like. Otherwise I don't enjoy making it so much. And that's something I've learned quite recently, really, that if I'm not keen on the colour or the overall look of it, then it puts me off working on it. So I have to try and use colours that I like, and at the moment I'm really enjoying these types of colours. I really love the colours on this quilt, so this is the sort of colours I'm really into at the moment. I just think they look lovely and they make me really happy. So for me, it's comforting and it's relaxing and it's therapeutic working with fabric, but also the colours that I enjoy. And some people are going to enjoy completely different colours to me, and that's okay. Work with what colours you enjoy, and don't worry about following rules for colours. So I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example. Is like, you don't put pink and orange together. I love pink and orange, use it all the time, but I think that might be a rule. There's a few rules for clothing as well, isn't there? Don't put certain colours together. But yeah, just break those. I think everyone should break rules with colour. I think it's okay to use what colours make you happy. Colours are a positive, happy thing, aren't they? So let's work with fabric and colours that cheer us up and make us happy, or different colours could make us feel nice and calm and relaxed. Either way, work with colours that you really enjoy. I'm going to be finishing hand quilting this later. I'm really looking forward to doing it. Something I've got upcoming in a video, which I'm really excited about, is I made my nanny a bag when I was in my early 20s for her knitting, and she still used it up until when she passed away recently. She's 96. It's a big cross stitch on the front. I'll pop a picture up. The cross stitch is beautiful, but the bag, I don't know how to make bags. It's got all open seams and the handles it's not very good, and Nanny just carried on using it, so I'd never ever made her a different bag. She seemed happy with that one. So I'm going to remake the bag. I'm going to take it apart. I'm not going to take the cross stitch apart because that took me ages to do, and I'm going to remake the bag and everything, but that's going to be a little bit of a different episode coming up as well. When I do that, I'll film the before and after and the process of redoing it and everything, and you can just have a good look at my stitches from in my early 20s of my bag making left a lot to be desired, I think. And I've got lots of other things coming up as well. More quilting, more English paper piecing, loads of things, and I'm all going to be making them in my camper van. I hope you've enjoyed my rule breaking session. Some of the rules are broken, some of them I haven't. Just a general chat about quilting, and what I want you to get from it at the end really is to not be put off by the rules or not be overwhelmed by the rules, because I've broken some and my quilts have turned out fine and yours will too, but it's okay to follow all the rules if you want to as well. If you're not a rule breaker, you don't have to. I'm not encouraging you to. If you want to see future videos, what I'm up to and what I'm creating in my camp van, then it'd be lovely if you could subscribe. I really want to grow the channel at the moment. I'm kind of really focusing on it and want to grow it. And so if you haven't subscribed already, and if you want to, that would be fantastic. But even just watching and liking and hyping. Some people have been hyping my videos, which is amazing. Thank you. It all helps the algorithm show me to other people who might enjoy me. That makes sense. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you all very soon. Bye.